Guys, I'm Neet here, back with another fragrance review. In today's video, I have 5 fragrances for you guys, and all of these 5 fragrances are going to be clones or alternatives of various niche and designer fragrances. And basically, they are from my brand, and the brand is House of Luxe. So I recently launched my own brand, and I have been, experimenting a lot with different perfumes. I've been making a lot of perfumes. Right now in my collection, I have 25 fragrances, and covering all the 25 fragrances in the video would become very difficult. Therefore, in today's video, I'll be talking about 5 of my favorite fragrances which I've launched recently. And let's dive right into the video without wasting any time after this intro. I'm going to talk about is Animalic Amber. Now, Animalic Amber, as the name goes, is an amber-based fragrance. This is basically an oriental fragrance. So this was my version of the very famous fragrance that was MFK Grand Soyer. Now, as most of you know, Grand Soyer was one of the classic collections in the Gentle Fluidity collection, which was recently launched. And a lot of people actually like it, not only because this is an oriental fragrance, but it has the accords of vanilla, amber, tonka beans, and lavender. So here's a quick look at the bottle of the fragrances, and I think all of the bottles will look alike. And what I've done with all the fragrances is that apart from the name and the concentration, we have gone with the notes of the fragrance. So I've made this easy for you guys to analyze what kind of fragrance this is by putting the most important and the most crucial notes at the top. And according to that, I've basically made a hierarchy which helps you follow what is the most dominant note in the fragrance. With that being said, I think Animalic Amber was one of my most difficult creations. I'll be making more of MFK creations. As of now, I'm making Baccarat Rouge and Animalic Amber. So these are the 2 fragrances which I'm making. Moving on to the second fragrance of the list is Warm Woods. Now, Warm Woods is a fragrance which I think most of you already know. This is a fragrance which was inspired by the very famous fragrance that was Ombre Leather by Tom Ford. So Tom Ford Ombre Leather, and Warm Woods was basically a fragrance which was very close to me, and I have been using Tom Ford Ombre Leather. Ombre Leather is a very peculiar fragrance. It is a leather-based fragrance, very harsh, very rough, and very manly. Overall, this is a very sophisticated scent. At the same time, it gives you that manly, that masculine feel in the fragrance. So the most prominent notes in this fragrance is of leather. There is patchouli, there is moss, and there's cardamom. Of course, there's cardamom. The top has a heavy rush of cardamom. You'll feel that freshness from cardamom. You will get the leather notes at the start itself. And this is about the second fragrance, that is Warm Woods. Now, Warm Woods is a fragrance which I personally I've been using this for a very long time, and this has been my personal favorite if you are going for a very masculine strong occasion. So if you're going for, let's say, a trip or maybe a hiking trip, this is the fragrance you can go for definitely. That being said, let's move on to the third fragrance in the list, and the third fragrance is Beach Bliss. My question to all of you is, what is the best summer fragrance? Well, the answer would be Louis Vuitton Afternoon Swim for a lot of you. And here's an alternative to that fragrance, that is Beach Bliss. In following me through the videos, you know that I have a love for orange-based fragrances. And when it comes to orange-based fragrances, I love mandarin, I love bergamot, I love orange. These are the fresh notes in any fragrance. At the same time, it is very zesty. It has that bergamot rush at the start. Apart from that, you will feel heavy. I mean, literally very heavy doses of mandarin in this fragrance. So mandarin and orange-based fragrances, and I actually love this fragrance. This was the fragrance I've actually fell in love with, and I think that a lot of people actually like Afternoon Swim. So that is why I made this fragrance, and I was experimenting with other summer fragrances as well, but Acqua di Gio Profumo, Acqua di Gio Profondo, I tried Acqua di Gio, the original, and after all of that, I still feel that Beach Bliss is supposed to be the best of the lot for summer friendly fragrances for me, practically, because I like orange based fragrances. If you like more bergamot, this has excessive orange, so keep that in mind. Apart from orange, you'll feel the notes of ginger in this fragrance as well. So a beautiful concoction overall, and this was the third fragrance on the list, and that was Beach Bliss. Now moving on to the fourth fragrance on the list, and this fragrance has been very close to my heart, and I think that this has got a lot of mixed reviews, but overall this fragrance is one of the most popular fragrances on this planet. Yes guys, I'm talking about Dior Savage, but wait, we do have a catch here, and the catch is that this is not Dior Savage, this is the Dior Savage Elixir. So Dior Savage Elixir's alternative from my brand is Elixir Essence, and the best part about this fragrance is that the notes of nutmeg, patchouli were fixed in this fragrance. So overall, this is a much more intense version of Dior Savage, absolutely true, but at the same time, it has its own different notes. So basically, if you want to try that, if you have the problem with Dior Savage, that wherein you feel that it has that fish market vibe in that fragrance, It has a lot of ambroxan in the fragrance. Ambroxan in this fragrance is basically balanced out, a much more refined fragrance. For me, this has always been one of the best fragrances I have been using. I use warm woods, I use elixir essence a lot. And let me just brief you about the notes of the fragrance. So the top notes are of cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, grapefruit, moving on with lavender, sandalwood, amber and patchouli. So this is the notes of Dior Savage Elixir, or my version of Dior Savage Elixir, that is Elixir Essence. Now all of these fragrances are in the EDP format, so extract the perfume, that is what I call them, because they have a percentage ranging from around 25 to 27%. And that is why I basically have a lot of trust in all of my fragrances, that they will give you a long lasting and a good projection. And that brings us to the fifth and the final fragrance, which is the cheapest of the lot, and that is Citrus Chrome. Now from the word chrome itself, you know this is actually an alternative to the very famous fragrance Azzaro Chrome. Why do people go for Azzaro Chrome? Two reasons basically. The first one is this is a very good fresh fragrance for summers, and the second reason being that it is not very expensive. So this is my take on Azzaro Chrome. What I have done is I have actually added my own accords of pineapple and rosemary in this fragrance, because I think that was the only thing lagging in the fragrance. But overall this fragrance has been amplified to such an extent that you will get a good projection and good longevity from this fragrance, that I assure you. And this is the cheapest of the lot, because this is, I've kept it very relative, because the original fragrances were not very expensive, so the alternative should not be expensive as well. So that being said guys, these are the 5 fragrances which I've introduced you in this video. Let me talk about the position of all of these fragrances. What I make sure in any fragrance, be it Elixir Essence or Citrus Chrome, these are from very two different ranges. This will cost you around 1200 rupees. At the same time, this will cost you around 1000 or 900 to 1000 rupees, right? So in terms of projection, I never have kept any difference among all of these fragrances. The same amount of fixative, the same amount of perfume boosters are used in all these fragrances. You'll get a longevity of 8+ hours guaranteed, and try to use these fragrances according to the occasions. That is what I suggest most of my clients too. And warm woods is a leather-based fragrance, so you should use it in the winters. Again, animalic amber is a fragrance you can use in autumn or winter. Again, talking about Beach Bliss, Elixir Essence, and Citrus Chrome, these are freshies, so these fragrances can be used in the summer. And afternoon swim is the only fragrance which I would recommend you if you want to go for a fragrance which is a fragrance which will last you all year around. So if you want a fragrance which you don't want to invest in a lot of fragrances, try Beach Bliss, because absolutely this is one of the most impressive fragrances I have actually come across, and it took me a lot of hard work and a lot of research to make Beach Bliss and present it in front of you, because I think that a lot of people are not covering Louis Vuitton fragrances and making Louis Vuitton clones, and I am making 2 of these clones as well. So the second one is Ombre Nomad, and that is again a Louis Vuitton creation. We'll be talking about those fragrances, don't worry. In today's video, I just wanted to introduce you to some Oriental fragrances, some freshies. So freshies and Oriental fragrances. Longevity wise, all of these fragrances will give you a good longevity, that I assure you. That being said, signing off Navneet. I hope you find this video useful, and do subscribe to the channel. Definitely visit the Instagram page. I'll add a link in the description down below for you guys to visit. And I'm pretty sure by the end of this month we'll have our website up and running. So that was about House of Luxe. That is my brand. Signing off Navneet. I hope all of you have a good day ahead.